Welcome to the Buybox Experts podcast. We bring to light the unique opportunities brands face in today's e-commerce world.
Hey, and welcome to the Buybox Experts podcast. This is Eric Stopper. Buybox Experts podcast is brought to you by Buybox Experts. We take ambitious brands and make them unbeatable. We have a team of consultants here. Please come and talk to us. We'd love to help you understand where you're going wrong on Amazon, or even where you're actually doing things pretty well, just to validate the current activities that you're doing day to day and what your team is trying to accomplish. Come and talk to us. Go to buyboxexperts.com, click on the free analysis button. We'd be happy to talk with you. This is the first in a 10-part series with Kenshoo, where we're going to be discussing some of the finer details of new products and lesser observed products on Amazon. Today, I'm joined by Sean Marder, the Director of E-commerce Solutions at Kenshoo. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric. Glad to be here.
So today, we're talking about attribution specifically. And I understand that you had to go and you went and had a conversation with Amazon to get some of the inside scoop on where attribution is and what is possible through the platform. And so I'd love to kind of get the brief on how that conversation went.
Sure. Yeah. So, little background on us, right? We're an API partner and an Amazon partner for the better part of 3 years now, and pretty much once a quarter we go on Amazon and do our QBRs and go in depth on some specifics of all of Amazon's different programs. And Amazon Attribution is a program that we've actually been partnering with for over a year and a half to help define their product, help drive into what will eventually be an API accessible product. And overall, it's something that's really cool. My background personally is in search before I started working in Amazon and e-commerce around 5 years ago, and there's always been this sort of gap between what you can expect from Amazon advertising compared to quote-unquote traditional search advertising, right? And I'm making air quotes, but and Amazon Attribution is kind of the first step in understanding more on how your advertising, when driven to Amazon, performs, right? We're still not going to get things like path conversion and stuff that you might expect in Google Analytics, but this is really that first step. And again, outside advertising driving to Amazon.
And so some examples of that, right? We're talking Facebook ads, Google ads as well. Like what types of advertising channels allow Amazon Attribution to plug in and to view those things?
Yeah, pretty much anything that can drive through a link, right? So Amazon Attribution works through a click URL, a tracking pixel through a click, and through sometimes even views, right? So if through an email, if it's on your website, like you said, on Google Ads or Bing or Facebook or Instagram, all those kinds of things, you'll be able to again drive to Amazon, which you may or may not have been doing already. But now you can directly attribute the sales that are caused by those advertisements, right? Which is really, really cool.
So, I mean, attribution is the word that we want to talk about here, and I understand that there's a bunch of different ways to attribute the way that a sale comes through Amazon, right? And this goes for most advertising platforms in general. You've got first touch, you've got last touch, you've got like a multivariant touch that considers the customer journey, which is arguably the best, right? Because then you're getting really clear insights into, okay, this person saw a Google ad and they came to the website and they left, and then they searched for us on Amazon and they went to my competitor, and like being able to map that whole journey is really important. So with Amazon's attribution tool as of right now, what are some of the things that we can actually see? Some of the views that we have, the insights that we can get from the data via attribution.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of cool metrics that they provide. It's actually probably, and when compared to DSP and Amazon advertising via sponsored products, sponsored brands, it has a lot of different touch points that they report on. I mean, we can look at our detail page views driven by an ad. We can look at add to carts driven by an ad. We can then obviously looking at the purchases themselves and the units alongside of those, right? So they kind of give you a really clear picture of when you are advertising via Google and driving to Amazon, right? Via Facebook and driving to Amazon, what sort of stage each consumer is at, and what kind of action those ads encourage, right? So you could have an ad that's really good at getting add to carts, but maybe it doesn't have enough of a value prop to drive them to purchase, or that's getting a lot of views on the page, but again, maybe it's not getting to that next point of add to cart. So you can kind of see all of those little parts on the way to ultimately getting that purchase. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, does Amazon recommend any certain actions based off of the events that happen? So let's say, for instance, that somebody added my product to cart, but they didn't purchase. Does Amazon give us insights into what exactly I should do to my listing or my price or whatever in order to offset the fact that they didn't purchase?
Currently, no, but this is where experts like yourselves come in, right? Is to kind of talk through these scenarios and look at that consumer journey and see where there might be opportunities to optimize it, right? Because there's so much sort of interesting testing that you can do with this that may not have previously been available. Things like creative messaging, detail page optimizations, optimizing your store page, all of these fun things that you can really latch onto in a way that was previously unavailable. Because at the end of the day, what this really is encouraging is top of funnel advertising, right? Like were not, I would say, not enough ways to drive awareness of your product and see the effect of that awareness directly when it came to off Amazon advertising, and this is it's maybe an upper to mid funnel way to start driving outside traffic to your detail pages, to your stores, and seeing the direct effect of that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to try to wrap my head around exactly what insights we're going to be able to get through. I've played with the tool a little bit and I found it clunky, like a lot of the things that Amazon releases at first. And obviously they're always working on it. So if somebody comes from an ad on Facebook, right, I'm able to see that, number one, that person came to the detail page. They viewed it based off of that specific ad. Am I able to see if that same customer came back and came to my detail page through an Amazon ad or through an organic listing click?
I'm unsure at this point of the exact look back window, but the view attribution method would allow for that, right? Like if they viewed an ad and come back, you would see that purchase from the view. And the same thing for a click, right? So if someone got to that stage and and they click through on the product, then you would eventually see that conversion attributed to that click or to that view, right? And
Okay.
that's a delineation that you could achieve.
That makes a lot of sense, and I do want to back up because a lot of the people that are listening are probably looking for attribution on their Seller Central or their Vendor Central account. Let's break down the differences real quick. So, can vendors have access to attribution, and how do they get that?
Sure, yeah. So vendors and sellers can have access to Amazon attribution. You can just go, I think you can, I just Google it here, right? You can just go to advertising.amazon.com and there's an attribution sort of a subdomain there /Amazon-attribution, and you can sign up there or register and start driving traffic to Amazon from your website or from your other ads.
And for those two views, are they different? Are they offering the same products to vendor and seller in terms of the attribution tool?
There's some minor differences, right? Like as there are for any vendor versus seller sort of product in Amazon right now. I believe that sellers do not currently have access to the view-based conversions. That being said, the way Amazon moves, they can move pretty quick. It could be there tomorrow. But again, at the end of the day, though, this is something that if you're driving traffic to Amazon, or even if you're driving traffic to your D2C site and you want to see how that is affected by or how that Amazon is affected by those ads, this is a good place to do it. And one really interesting piece that I want to touch on is the fact that you can get Amazon sales data from driving D2C, at least from Google Ads. This isn't available in social quite yet, but if you're driving traffic from Google Ads to your D2C site, and let's say your D2C site isn't converting at like a high or like a rate that you would really like,
Sure.
you're able to then see what amount of people bounce from your website, right? And then if they purchase on Amazon or not, which is really, really cool, right?
Mm.
Because the Amazon customer might be going to your website to research and then ultimately purchase it on Amazon if you're listing it there. And this is going to give you some insight into whether or not that's happening.
One point that I've been making with a lot of the people, the clients that we have, is the people who are bouncing from your website that are buying on Amazon are probably just Amazon Prime members, right? Like they just want to go check it out, and that's a natural thing that they're going to do. And so this is actually going to allow us to quantify how much of your bounce rate is attributable to people who just want to buy it on Amazon. That's one insight that it sounds like we're able to get from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, this is especially relevant for maybe businesses who only sell on Amazon, but they have a website just for that purpose, and they're losing that tracking in between. This is a really good opportunity to not lose that customer, to see exactly how they interact with your website and then interact with Amazon, right? So this is very relevant for, we work with a lot of like enterprise CPG clients, right, and who don't sell direct, right? They only sell in store or in Amazon or other retailers, and this allows them to continue their brand building efforts via Google Ads and Bing and those kind of things, but still be able to see what sorts of conversions those ads drive on Amazon.
That makes sense. Yeah. So it really can apply. The tool can be used by anybody and everybody. Do you have to be brand registered to use attribution?
For sellers, yes, yeah, for sure.
Okay, but not for vendors. That's good to know. So the last question that I have for you is, right, obviously if you have the resources to be able to use attribution, you should probably start playing with it and learning about it. But at what phase do you think, and this is less from Amazon and more of your and kind of Kenshoo's opinion, at what point do you think that someone should really start sinking their teeth into it and trying to understand this kind of flow of customers through their business? Is it enough to just say like, oh, I'm spending a whole bunch on sponsored ads and that's doing really well for me, but I want to get more specific, more targeted, more efficient in my ads? What's kind of the stage that businesses should be at when they start considering using attribution in their day-to-day?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's like, let's say you're already maxed out in your sponsored ads, your sponsored brands, right? Sponsored products, sponsored brands. I mean, those are at their core a very lower funnel ad product, right? Sponsored brands is great for building your brand on Amazon and driving to store page and product pages, and obviously sponsored products are for owning the SERP. But there's a point of diminishing returns in which you're no longer able to capture new audiences because you are limited by the audience of Amazon, which in itself is large. So it's not like you're going to have a hard time spending money there, but it's saying like, okay, well, I actually want to capture people off of Amazon and drive them to my pages, right? People who, if let's say you're running a display campaign and you want to take advantage of your off-site placements, you can drive those to Amazon. You can already obviously do this through the Amazon DSP, but see the attributed purchases from those ads. And again, like if you want to control your brand on Google, right? Bid on your brand terms on Google, drive them to Amazon, and then see what those conversions are, or bid on the same non-branded terms that you are in Amazon on Google, on Bing, drive them to Amazon, see the result of those, right? So these are all upper funnel, they're category building, it's really incremental dollars that you maybe wouldn't have had before, because honestly it's a different audience, right? These are people looking elsewhere. These are people that aren't on Amazon in this very moment, and instead you can drive them to Amazon to purchase.
Right. You mentioned DSP, and I think that's important because I was talking to a client of ours, and they were running some DSP ads, and by the way, for those that don't know, the DSP is the display network that Amazon uses to populate your Amazon ads elsewhere outside of Amazon. So IMBD, recipe websites, They bought a company that has a bunch of servers for this kind of stuff, and it's pretty cool. But it didn't have attribution at the very beginning. And when I was having this conversation, they were saying, well, look, we're spending on this DSP and it's super top of funnel, right? Like we're getting people literally when they're not searching for anything, just trying to target their awareness and be in the peripheral. What they found was that there was a direct correlation with the amount of money that they spent on their DSP ads and the amount of branded searches for their product on Amazon. And while they couldn't attribute those two things, it sounds like attribution is pretty much the key to that, to understanding, look, if I'm spending at the top of funnel, how much is it actually making me at the point of purchase? Is that fair to say?
Well, DSP will run just fine to get view through attribution and brand halo without the Amazon attribution platform. Amazon attribution is more so targeted to, again, those offsite to Amazon products that aren't run directly through the Amazon DSP. I mean, you could if you're not running through Amazon DSP, you could technically use, like if you're doing like the Trade Desk or DBM or something like that, you could use the Amazon attribution click tags, the tracking URLs. But it's more so focused Google Ads, Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, which have some really powerful targeting mechanisms that you can now leverage to discover new audiences or retarget your existing audiences through email or on-site cookies, and then again see those results when driven to Amazon.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show, guys. If you need attribution help, if you want to take this step with your business, first of all, I always say try it, right? Like try to fool around with the tool and see if you can get something out of it. And then if you run into snags, please come and talk to BuyBox experts in our team. And Sean, how do people get in touch with Kenshoo? Where should I send them?
Sure, yeah. I mean, they could. You can reach out directly to me if interested, sean.marder@kenshoo.com, or feel free to visit the website at kenshoo.com and get in touch.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
To finish today's podcast, I want to share some final thoughts. For third-party sellers to be successful on Amazon, you've got to get reviews. We at BuyBox Experts are really big fans of the team over at Ecom Engine and its tools that help Amazon sellers simplify the process of soliciting reviews from customers who purchase their products. For more information, go to ecomengine.com. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for listening to the BuyBox Experts podcast. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web, and we'll see you next time.